Test one, two. All right, good morning, everyone. It's a minute after 8. We are expecting a few more members. We're just going to wait a minute or two. We have a quorum, so we'll start in a minute or two, independent of who else shows up. Can everyone hear us, or can someone out there at least confirm you can hear us? You? Anybody out in the audience that could confirm they can hear the audio?
Yeah, we can hear it.
Thank you. Oh, we have a quorum. Maybe we just get started and. So quorum is present. And we're going to start the meeting. It is 8:02. Item number 1, call to order, so called. Item number 2, roll call. You want to just call out your name instead of having me call and say aye, nay. I'll say Chris Ronis is here.
Craig Heber here.
Bud Trap here.
Randy True here.
Excellent. Item number 3, oral communications, items not on the agenda. Does anyone have anything they want to bring up? Oh, good. We have a guest, an honored guest.
Good morning. I'm Ed Holland. I am Chair of Bicycle Pedestrian and Traffic Safety and also Assistant Sheriff Commissioner. I have 2 very brief items I'd like to alert. One is thank you to those EPC members that helped out with Zots to Tots and the coordination there. That ran very, very well this year, and we really are establishing a great model for running that race safely in coordination with CERT and in coordination with the sheriff. The second thing, I beg your pardon. I thought you had something there. Second thing is, in connection with my role as Assistant Sheriff Commissioner, we have the opportunity using the town's speed trailer to set safety and other public messages. So I'd like to invite EPC, if there are any messages or things that you'd like to reach out to the town, that is one opportunity to reach the public.
So just for clarity, that's the trailer that we see parked with
It's parked in various locations around town. It reflects your speed back to you, but also has a banner for rolling messages. So that's.
Thank you.
If you have a preferred message from
Oh.
EPC to the town, whether it's some event or something coming up or a
Appropriate
concern,
message.
a wildfire or whatever it might be, exercise, EPC exercise, then there's an opportunity to broadcast that via that channel. So
So if we were practicing, to do an emergency town drill, that would be one way we could communicate,
absolutely.
something like that. Great, that's good.
All right. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, what's the process for getting a message on there?
Reach out to either myself or to Kevin Welsh, who's the actual sheriff commissioner, and we can take care of that.
How long can the message be?
I don't think there is an established,
Looks like, people
protocol
are
for it.
driving by.
the length of message. We do
Yeah.
try and keep that down to, I think, 3 screens worth. So I can get back to you with some
If
information.
you're
about it.
driving by, you only see half of it.
Don't get very long to see it. That is a very good point.
Screen number 1, very important. Number 2, don't miss this, and then you go right past it.
Slow down.
Slow down, read this. Okay, thank you.
And what committee are you?
I represent bicycle,
Oh, thank you.
bicycle pedestrian and traffic safety, BPTS.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate that. And I agree with your sentiment. Thank you for everyone who participated in the Zots to Tots, either as an EPC member or just a citizen. A lot of CERT members there, a lot of volunteers. It was really quite an event. And Ray Rothrock is joined. Good morning. No trouble. We're on oral communications. Do you have anything that you want to add to the agenda or anything? Did you talk about Monday? That's a,
Turn your mic up.
yeah, let's just cover that during communications. I think that's already agendized. All right, anything else, or are we moving on? All right, closing out item number 3. Item number 4 is to review and approve the minutes from our last meeting of September 5.
So move.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstentions? I think I will also abstain. I don't think I was here. Was I even on Zoom? I don't think I was. I was traveling that day. All right, so we have 2 abstentions.
I should
Alright.
abstain. I didn't review them. Was the transcript helpful? Did you see that?
Transcript was very helpful. Dale used it to turn it into a set of minutes that's very closely resembling what the AI said.
Great, great. I'll have those now moving forward. And so,
That's pretty cool, actually. All right. Number 5. Number 5 is an interesting one, right? I'm not quite sure what to do, so I think it's an open discussion, which is we were headed towards a goal that I was working with the town manager on to help him and the town decide, what is the next priority for us? And we were headed towards reviewing the town emergency response protocols. And we'd identified some documents that we thought probably could use a rewrite. They hadn't been looked at in a long time. We hadn't quite gotten there for various reasons, the summer schedules of him not being available, me not being available. I know the committee worked on it in absence of any more guidance on that. And in the meantime, now we've had a change in town manager. So I'm not quite sure what I recommend we do. And I'd like to kind of ask the committee what they think. Let's just look at it. We are in October. So we have October, November, December for the year before we get a newly elected council, which may have a different set of priorities. We're missing a town manager. We have an interim town manager. But I'm sort of hesitant to launch on a long-term project that may not be aligned with what the next council wants. Anyway, that's just a thought. Let's put it out there and see what people think.
So my initial reaction is to find out, given what limited resources we have in the town, what they feel they can do. I think that's the big issue. I think it's coordinating with town staff. And given that it's a limited town staff right now, is it just a question of setting some priorities of what they're able to do and then working on those practically? Or do we try and assign everything on the menu and just get done what we can? But I think that requires some consultation with them and a person that we can identify that we coordinate with to accomplish that. That's at least my initial thought, Chris.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. I just wonder about long versus short term, whether maybe we try and pick something that we can wrap up in the next few months. Maybe it's not the grandest goal, but we get it done. We decide what it is, we get it done, and then wait for kind of a coordinated new set of directions in the new year. I don't know.
The town may just farm it out to a consulting agency, because that's what they do, everything else. So,
And I think Ray, you had your hand
Yeah,
up.
I don't know when the last time we were in front of the town. council. It seems like to me, we ought to go to sort of the primary source. I would suppose that we get on that 5th Wednesday or whatever it was, get ourselves on the agenda. And tell them this is what we've done, this is what we think needs to be done, and then ask. To your point, let's just get right in their face and ask. What are you doing?
But I think, don't you think we need to ask the town staff first what they think they can accomplish? That's my concern, is I really want to get
It's a
their
fair
input.
concern, but what Lynn said, if the council wants to do it, they're the elected officials, then they'll figure out the resources, the staff or consultant. Whatever. The answer may come back, do nothing now, which I fully expect given our fiscal situation. I fully.
yeah, Vic, I think I largely more agree with Ray that I think taking a proactive approach and asking sort of independently, what do we think are the most important things that could be done to improve emergency response? And continuing to work on that, in asking that question and working on it independent of the resources available from the town and somewhat independent of what the town, the current majority of the town council has identified as priorities, because, I think as we're seeing in finance, there can be significant problems in terms of, over a long term of just, managing, serious areas. And I think, and this is what motivated Rob and I in terms of putting in the hard work last year. And it was, I think Rob mentioned at one point, he worked full time for 3 months on it. And I worked quite extensively, and we were completely blocked in that effort because of the priorities of the majority of the council, and through, I think, what were some really, problematic, ideas by our former liaison, Craig Taylor. So you guys know, I think, well, my thoughts about that. But I think I think there can be a really important role for committees and the enduring subject matter, domain specific knowledge we have that should last through transitions in staff members, transitions in council members. And I'm very much in favor of empowering the committees and establishing a mode of somewhat oversight and somewhat independence. I mean, ideally, we want committees to be working very closely in alignment with staff and with the town council priorities, but there are some times where those diverge. And if you have a situation where a majority of a committee is seeking reform, asking hard questions, pointing out problems, we want those to surface to the town citizens. We don't want them suppressed. And I think what we've seen in the past around important areas, public safety, finance, is the suppression by the staff, by certain town council members, of really important problems. And I think we can play a role moving forward where we highlight those. And that's, I mean, again, that's what motivated the work on the evacuation, was like, we have a serious evacuation problem and we want to gather all the information, create a report, and then go from there to what can we do? What are the next steps? But we never got to the next steps because we got blocked in even having support to present our report to the town council. As Wraith mentioned, we were never able to get in front of the town council, and that was officially requested by Dale. So I think just taking the point of view of what does the town council currently want us to do, which can be, I'll just be blunt, blocked by town staff or town manager. It can be blocked by the mayor. It can be blocked by the current majority of the town council. And I think we should take a bigger picture point of view, and I'm not advocating for like working with an antagonistic or conflicting attitude, but we have serious problems that we're dealing with in this town. And I think it extends significantly beyond the finance problems, which have finally surfaced. So if you ask the question of how were those problems not surfaced for so long, I think there are parallels here in emergency response and public safety. And I think we can play an important role in helping to, make serious progress and setting up the approach that leads to that progress.
All right, thank you. I guess just a couple reactions. I do like the idea of our setting a list of things that we think is important, and let's go back with it. I would say my approach is a little more, maybe it's pragmatism, which is, I look at it and I say, we serve at the pleasure of the council. We're an advisory committee to them. They appoint us. I don't know that it is our role to try and overstep something that they don't want done. I mean, that's their role, is to govern and tell us where they need advice. But I think nothing ever stops us from putting our ideas forward. And I think there's a common space in that. And I would remind you that we did get, in a cooperative fashion, we did get the evacuation plan through and adopted. Maybe not in a perfect form, but we did get it. And thank you very much for all that super hard work. What's that?
Well, first of all, I think it's more in a discussion. We got them to accept our
Yeah,
recommendation.
you did.
Which I think is our role. I think our stated role is to recommend to the town council. And while I like the action-oriented idea, I think that's the right role for us. And I'd like to remind all of you that we did have a set of 14 priorities. And I know I worked on that fairly seriously. They're still out there and they've been presented to town council.
Yep.
And if it's worthwhile, I can recirculate them, but I believe we all acknowledge these were the 14 priority of the report that came out. I think we all felt that they covered pretty much the waterfront, but it didn't exclude any further ideas. And I think we can continue to press forward on those. Those priorities have been presented to the town council. They were receptive to them and they've invited us to continue to report on what progress we make. So that's a possible vehicle for us to continue along these lines on whatever time frame you think is appropriate.
The other thing that happened with the evacuation plan was we're supposed to marry up the residence plan with what the fire department did.
Yep.
And that, I don't think that's been done.
Right, so the document for residents to understand better as opposed to the procedural document used by,
I think we posted that on the
Yep.
website.
Right, the fire department basically said they need more time to sync it all up, but it's definitely posted. And I think Kim indicated a willingness to do it, but she didn't have the time much before December to get that done.
right.
No, but you, actually, I think the work that you and can't think of his name, Sunday, Rob did, that pushes the fire department to make the plan. I mean,
It did.
It
No,
was
there's
really
no
important.
question that there's a role for
Yeah,
advocacy
they wouldn't have
and
moved as
strength.
fast as they did
Yeah.
without you.
I mean, I think for the record, and I think this is borne out by the record, the decision, which was again led by first Craig Taylor and then the council subcommittee, which was Craig Taylor and Jeff Alves, was to not accept a plan from us, but only from the staff and the fire department. And so we shared our plan in December with the new fire marshal Kim, and she basically pared it down, did some work, but I look at that as a political issue. It wasn't as, and again, that's why we were never allowed to present this work. So how does, and that was a big surprise to us. It was a big surprise to us, even as we convened the special meeting to approve it. So I think that points to a serious problem. If the committee that's doing this work and that has all this subject matter domain is sidelined and for, again, what I would characterize as political reasons is not allowed to share or is blocked from pursuing their work. I look at that as a big problem with what happened with the evacuation plan, because it led to, a year delay in it. It led to, but it also, even more importantly, it led to our inability to follow up on it, which we had wanted to do, and after, expecting that it would get a good reception. So, and I was warned about this as I came into this work, that the previous town manager had blocked progress on the evacuation plan, blocked progress on school evacuation. And then we saw a similar thing bear out in June and through the fall, where our subcommittee was blocked from pursuing the evacuation plan. So I think it's important to describe, and I think that's just a better explanation, a better description of what happened.
Well, I respectfully disagree with that, Randy. We've been down this, and I hope we don't do this deja vu all over again. I'd like us to move forward and not talk about one's perceptions of what
Okay.
happened. Mine was a very different experience, although I understand the frustration that you've expressed. I think it's legitimate, but I have a very different view of how it progressed. We've got it to the town council. We've got it passed unanimously and adopted. How do we move forward? Once again, I would suggest that we figure what our priorities are, and yes, let's go and press forward. I think that's legitimate within our role to recommend town council any further actions we think are appropriate.
Yeah.
That would be my recommendation.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. Again, it's a pragmatic approach more than anything else. If we have pre-agreement on priorities, they're more likely to get through. And we do have a number to choose from. And I also really like your idea of let's start with the list we already have.
Okay. And we can certainly add to it if we want to, but that was our agreed upon 14 items in the report, and we set high, medium, and low priorities, as you may recall.
Yep.
So do you want me to make that available to you again?
I
for
think making that
recirculation?
available to, I'm thinking about a process here.
Yeah.
Do we create a subcommittee to make the recommendations we want to go in front of the town council with? So here's what we think are the best priorities. It's going to take us a while to get on their agenda anyway. In the meantime, the subcommittee can create that list. We can approve it at the next meeting. And hopefully, in the meantime, get a time slot in front of the council.
Because at the last presentation on those priorities, we were invited to come back and give them a report as to what progress we were making. So I think they would be very receptive to going back to them with the stronger recommendations, as strong as we want to make them on those priorities. So I think that would be an excellent starting point.
Chair, how about if, in addition to updating the list and updating the priorities, we add, additional columns to put an estimated scope of work, including who the work could be done by, whether it's current members of this, whether it's town staff, town council, current members of this committee, additional volunteers, fire district, county dem folks. And then additionally, we could put, say, something like estimated cost, estimated time frame. So essentially flesh out the priorities a bit. And we could even have a section that's what we condense it down to and sort of agree on and vote on as a committee. And then we could have an additional appendix that is not necessarily what we've approved, but other ideas, other considerations. And I think a fleshed out version of that would really help, because I think just having the priorities, it just leaves, it's not as actionable as if we put some more meat on that.
But there's something to that, right? Especially in an atmosphere where there's not a lot of resources from the town. If we present something that is, high priority, but wildly expensive, then it may not happen right now. It just may not be possible. Whereas, the number 2 priority, if it's something that could be basically done by the volunteers on this committee over time, that may bring it to the top. That may be an important weighting. I like that.
Yeah, I believe that's already been done. I think
But-
I think we set up high, medium, and low, and then we assigned who was responsible, whether staff, committee, combination of both. I'll look back at that, Chris, and get that to you. But I think it's an excellent idea in any event. So there's accountability and a realistic priority of the project we think can be accomplished with the staff that we have. And I think that would continue to revitalize it and move it forward.
I think we're capturing all the same things, right? You're saying accountability. I'm also worried about doability.
Absolutely.
Okay. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't list the ones that we think are really important, even though, let's not limit ourselves, right? Just because we're worried it might not get approved, that's not a good reason to put it forward. I think that would be to your point as well. So we should form a subcommittee to work on that between now and the next meeting of this committee. And I will, in the meantime, try to get us an invite to a town council presentation as soon as possible after our next meeting where we could approve that list.
It's interesting. Our next meeting is after the election.
Okay. That's all right. I mean, our priorities aren't going to
I
change,
understand.
right? We're looking, that's the good thing about doing it this way. We're looking at what we think are the priorities independent of who's elected or how much money we have, but we will also indicate whether a lot of money is required or a lot of resources are required, and we'll put it in front of them, see what comes out.
I'll send to you the current set of priorities and assignments, Chris, and you can determine how that could be best useful.
Well, let's create a subcommittee to look at it between now and the next. Anybody volunteering to do that? Speaking of resources.
So I'll, yeah, I'll be happy to do it with somebody else.
Yep. I would certainly join. 'Cause I think this is really, really important.
Yeah.
So I've got the bandwidth. I'll work with you, Vic.
Oh, that's great.
You got that's the maximum number, right?
I think we can go all the way up to a non-quorum, right? So we could have up to 5 is my understanding of the rules.
I'd be happy to review it and do some work on it.
Sure.
Great.
Chris and Randy? And Craig? Yes.
I think this is a really important effort and moving from this to the making this a living document that we're continuing to review every meeting that becomes sort of our touchstone where it's, because right now I'm asking, I know I've seen the list of 14 and the priorities, but like, I don't know where to go to find it.
I'll send it to you.
But I mean, it could be in the packet, it could be linked on our committee page. And
Sure.
I think, you know, yeah, I mean, I think it could
I'll
become
see
a
that
focal
it's
point
included
for,
in the
I
next
like
packet.
this too. I think this could be a really good process for us.
Good. I don't think I brought it with me. I didn't this time.
Something really positive that comes out of this. All right. I do need to note that we don't have, I was hoping we could talk about it with our town liaison. Obviously, we don't have a town manager here, but we don't have anyone from the town. I know that Kim reached out to me that she was personally not available due to some training, but that she would try to have somebody here to communicate with us. I don't know what happened, but I've got to say, the fire department has been so good and so engaged and so supportive of us that I'm sure the fact that no one's here today is an accident or the result of another priority. I certainly want to make sure the record reflects how much I appreciate, and I would say probably the whole committee appreciates how engaged our local fire department and fire marshal is. Anything else on that topic before we move on, which would be to,
Chris, I have a quick question. So
Yeah.
at some point, I think we put together an EOC EPC subcommittee. So is that now folded into the work that Vic is doing? It seems that that would be the thing to do.
I think that would be one of the things on the list that we would say we think is important. So let's,
Yeah, so I've got Chris, Randy, Craig, and myself. And did you want?
Well, if we're gonna do that, then you put me on there too.
Sure,
Okay.
absolutely.
That sounds good to me.
Good.
Okay. Thank you.
all right, item
welcome.
6 is a report from, oh, maybe we have fire department on the line. Anybody from Woodside Fire Protection District on the line that for agenda item number 6? Nothing heard. Okay. Let's move on to item number 7, which are the subcommittee reports. And Ray and Communications, you're up first.
Everyone saw what was attached. In the last month, I checked and confirmed that the antenna is indeed in need of some maintenance. So I scheduled a bucket truck to arrive here Monday morning, October 7th. The window is 7 to 9. I've confirmed that the fire department will provide some muscle for us, which will be very helpful. And I've got a couple of more volunteers with some muscle. This is probably a 4 or 5 person project on a good day. And I've written up directions that I'll give everybody. But basically, the antenna that's back here off the parking lot on the mast needs to be taken down, disassembled, cleaned, put back together, retuned and sealed properly, make sure all the joints are firm. I'm gonna bring bolts and stuff. We will double down on the reconnection of it. I think it's a 4 or 5 hour job with 15 minutes here, 30 minutes there. There's some overlap work, but it's not trivial. The antenna is one person can lift it, but when it's up over your head, it's a tricky thing. But the bucket truck has a 34-foot elevation and a 22-foot lateral. So I think we can get high on the antenna and lower it, putting the center of gravity below the bucket. That'll be useful. Anyway, you can't take it apart easily in place because the alignment will keep it will bind, you know. So anyway, that's scheduled for Monday. All volunteers are welcome. Ed volunteered. Hopefully we will not have any issues. When we raced it last time, we had no incidents, no accidents, no nothing. We all walked away. I'm hoping for the same outcome. I'm hoping it'll be a little cooler on Monday than it is presently. It would be pretty tough in this environment to do it. So that's scheduled and on plan, and off we go.
No, that's great. And just to remind everyone, the symptom is that the AM radio is intermittent.
Yeah, the antenna tune is in. Yeah.
But from a user resident perspective,
Yeah.
if you've been listening, it suddenly goes into a mode where either you hear nothing or you hear loud buzzing. And Ray and his volunteers have tracked it down to a mechanical issue as
Yeah,
as the wind blows or as the antenna moves slightly, the connections. And not only does it cause it to buzz, but it's caused the unit to burn out. Because when you put power into an antenna and the antenna's not there, it just all returns to the radio.
Yeah.
So we need to do this.
Yeah,
And thank-
I mean, I hope our diagnosis is correct. I've talked to a lot of the hams in town about it. I've talked to the manufacturer about it and I've gotten all the information that I think I can
Yeah,
get.
the evidence is overwhelming, but
Yeah.
there's always a
You know,
chance.
You don't
right?
know until you know, so.
Either at 7.
Well, the bucket truck is to arrive between 7 and 9, so it may show up at 8:59. So I'll be down here at 7, and what I thought when I see it roll in, I'll send out a note to whomever has signed up to volunteer, and they can come down. It'll take some minutes to get the handoff, but I'm hoping it's here first thing when it's cool. I'd bring some work gloves.
All right.
I've just a few questions. Thanks for your continued leadership on this, Ray. It's fantastic. I apologize if I'm the only one in the room who doesn't know this, but I was driving down 84 the other day and I noticed again that there's an antenna in the Woodside Fire parking lot at the fire station in Woodside.
Hmm.
So do they have a separate radio station, separate radio tower?
They have an AM broadcast.
Oh, what is that antenna? There's a giant antenna in the parking lot of.
Probably a local cell or something. I don't know what it is.
Oh, huh. So does the town of Woodside have any similar, they don't have an AM?
Not that I'm aware of. They've been out to visit ours a few times and we talked to them. I've been to their meetings, but I'm not aware of it.
Okay. Does anybody know what that unit is? It's very large. It's right in front of the new
That's right in
fire
front of the
station.
I haven't even
Sure,
driven
it's
past
part
it,
of their-
so we'll look at it.
Part of their radio infrastructure.
But as far as you know, that's not an AM radio. Okay.
I mean, our AM signal, and Chris and others, we practicing up 280. Far, I suspect, most people here at Woodside, where it's functioning.
Right.
So, around. They are aware that we have it. And use it. So. I will, so, any other questions about that? So the one thing, also, before the last meeting, I did meet with the IT consultant for the town and explained to them what needed to be done in order to modify the message remotely. It requires some changes to the firewall, the IT infrastructure of town. They knew exactly what I was talking about. There was no, I don't believe, any miscommunication. They took a bunch of notes. We actually took some pictures of the IP network and stuff. Anyway, radio silence. So I have no idea where that is. With Sharif gone, I have no idea how to even restart that process. So presently, you have to physically go into the radio and put a USB stick in to change the message. Or you can go to the window outside the room and Wi-Fi into the town EPC network. and change it. Cannot do it remotely over the internet.
Oh. I think I just have to laugh. How long have we been working on this? It's got to be a
Oh,
year.
yeah, almost a year.
How big a project did the IT consultant say?
Minutes.
About, yeah.
I could do it in 15 minutes if they'd let me, if they give me the credentials.
So who would have to authorize that?
Town
It's
manager.
been
Okay.
authorized.
Did. He
Sharif wanted
authorized
it
it.
done. He
He
informed
was
the
actually
IT
physically
group.
there. We explained it all.
Right.
The IT guys are very competent. They took notes. So, okay, we'll get it done.
So
Well, that was a Wednesday and they said, we'll have it done by Friday.
do you have the email of the IT consultant?
I have a tech support, one of those generic.
Huh.
But with a number. But
But yeah, let's try and follow up. I mean, it sounds like you got into the, inches to goal kind of thing. Maybe we can push it across with,
it's strange.
I took, I recall that there was a big problem when the former town manager, Jeremy Dennis, left, that they didn't have access to a lot of accounts, including financial accounts. Does anyone know if they've implemented new procedures related to
no
like
idea.
password account tracking? And because I think that could be an important recommendation to make or discuss with the town council, because it can affect, not just administrative efficiency, but like public safety.
I
We've now
I
had a second
no
town
idea.
manager.
I'm guessing they have that continuity, but maybe not. Who knows?
I found the email out. Okay, that's it.
All right, I
About
do,
the- What about funding?
Funding?
It said something about you need authorization.
Oh, yeah, the bucket truck cost about $1,500. And I put it on my credit card right now just to hold it and get it here. So this was good.
well, I guess the question is, does anyone know where our budget stands? I do not. But we could discuss whether or not we would authorize that kind of spending out of our budget, assuming we have it. to fix
That's what
it.
we did at the last meeting, but perhaps I'm mistaken about that.
Again, I wasn't here.
For the bucket we're talking about now, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, no, we definitely
We,
Authorize it?
we
I'm quite
authorized,
certain we did.
did not offer because I did
Really?
not have a dollar. for it.
Oh, I see.
It was
that, okay.
suggested.
and anyway, it's not in the,
Cost, whether it's $500 or $2,000. It turns out it's $1,340.
so should we authorize up to 1,700 or something like that?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
All
All right.
Any nays, any abstentions?
I'm a little out of protocol having put the money down before the approval, but that's,
We didn't hear that.
need to be practical.
We appreciate leadership. I think that's the way
Get
to
it
look at that one. Right.
If the town doesn't sign off on it.
Right, and if the town decides that's not what they're going to spend money on right now, then
That would be.
A donation.
I would
But-
certainly
but
be
that would
happy to be part of that as a
be like-
give back. Yep.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. To make sure the minutes reflect that we did offer. Got it. Make it, 1,700 is what I,
1,700.
that's
Thank
what
you.
I proposed. Okay, we've already had a thank you on the Zots to Tots. Is there anything else we want to talk about on Zots to Tots? It is a sub-agenda item for your communications. You were there all day. Robert, I was there. A lot of people, I thought a very successful exercise.
Yeah.
I'll,
I think the 13 got a lot out of it.
yeah, maybe I'll just give a very brief, from my point of view. The CERT team used it as an opportunity to practice being deployed as if there were an incident, right? So we gathered at the Triangle Park outside of Roberts and participated in a briefing from the sheriff. And there were assignments made for different volunteers at different intersections. And there was a radio network that was hosted from our remote truck that was pulled into the town picnic park area. So there was an incident command center that was set up. And we were right next to fire. And I thought it went remarkably smoothly, actually. It worked. We were able to
I didn't know that.
maintain
That's
good
good.
communications. The event itself went smoothly with no incidents of any note for that.
Wow.
The comment from Robert was probably the largest participation in that event
That's
that
great.
we know about. Maybe 400 or more people. it was really something to watch. And I thought the coordination was basically seamless. Even had a minor medical event, which we got to practice on, and everybody turned out just fine. Yeah, it was a good day. Okay, any update on the TIS sign?
Virtually no update. Where it stands now is, I've got the pricing all done and so forth. You saw the prototypes. I think the next step was ASCC to say whether we can put them up, whether they look good enough, and then to go from there. Nothing has happened along those lines as far as I know.
I discussed it with Jeremy,
Oh,
not Jeremy, oh boy, I'm going too far back. I discussed it with Sharif, who endorsed, and I think we had a joint action item to get it in front of the chair of the ASCC.
okay.
So I'm just going to carry on with that. I assume that's still what we want to do.
Yes.
So I'll take the action to contact. Does anyone know who the chair is? I can find it. I know the person. I just can't think of it right now. Okay. Next one, the ongoing evacuation subcommittee. Dale is chair of that. He's not here. Anybody have an update?
No update we had.
Neighborhood and resident outreach,
Nothing current, nothing new.
nothing new. Ad hoc safety element, which I guess will continue to be delayed. But Dale is in charge of that. I don't know. Yeah, of course.
Dick, Sequoia's has filed for fire safe, wait a minute, let's see,
Firewise?
Oh,
Firewise.
Firewise.
yeah,
Sequoia has, right?
Put paperwork in.
Okay. Yeah, actually, maybe I should say, just as a sub-report, is that I've been coordinating with Westridge and a couple of the others to see that they have our approval to support the Firewise application for our overall area. And I understand that's moved forward, so I think everybody's synced up at this point. I think the lead is being taken by the Westridge people overall. But as far as I know, it's moving forward. That's the latest I can report to you on.
Excellent. And reviewing the town emergency operations procedure, I think that's tabled for the moment until we do this priority review. We have a subcommittee working on that. All right. Any last opportunity for something not on the agenda? Any discussions, comments? Next meeting is November 3. Anybody know they can't be here? Or?
I possibly will not be here on the 3rd.
Did you say November 3? November
Is that wrong? Did
November 7.
I screw it up?
Yeah. Oh, that's
7th is Thursday.
6th, 7th, 3rd.
okay. So it's the 7th.
It's the 7th. Okay.
I will not be there.
All right.
Nor will I.
We have two
the country.
people that can't. All right. Well, we'll do it like we usually do. I'll send around to look for quorum, and if we don't have, so we will try and move the meeting. I think that's worked pretty successfully. And I think that brings us to a close today.
Move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Done. All right.
Aye.
Thank you.
I'll send on to you that